Welcome back. I'm Andrew Baker, and in this video, I'm going to go through the results that I got from having done the 7-day photography challenge. Now, if you haven't checked out that video, I'll put a link in the description of this one, taking you to the 7-day challenge video. But in this video, I'm going to go through the results that I got from having done the challenge. And it turned out that it was a particularly busy week. And at the beginning, I thought, oh my goodness, why on earth did I choose these 7 days to do the challenge? And part of the rule of the 7-day challenge is it needs to be 7 consecutive days. And if you miss a day, you have to start the 7 days over again. And there was a couple of times where I nearly simply forgot, believe it or not. Couldn't believe it myself, but I went, wow, that tells me something in the first place. It just shows you how easily it's deceptively simple, this 7-day challenge. But that's it. It's deceptive. It's a great challenge to do. I'm super glad that I did stick with it. The rewards and the stimulating new ideas, it was almost like because the week was full of so much other stuff, non-photographic stuff, and it was a very busy week, that it almost amplified, magnified the results, if you like, that by turning my attention to becoming more photography aware, noticing what was around me and everything, making a deliberate effort, focus to tune in to my surroundings and notice, even when I was just walking around, etc., that it was quite impactful. It almost was amplified because the week was so busy with other things. So let's jump into the results and I'll go through it day by day. So day one, the light was incredibly overcast, incredibly flat light. It was quite, for a lot of subjects, it wasn't particularly attractive or anything. I was noticing all sorts of shapes and that, fences. There was a couple of really nice designs and things like that. But in the end, what happened was I was having a drink. This was into the afternoon, sitting down, noticed the bubbles and everything in the glass and went, okay. And it's interesting to note, because of the challenge, I would have noticed the light through the glass, etc. But because I was doing the challenge, it got me to explore it further. It got me to open up the camera and start to get some shots and explore it further. And so here's a couple of different shots that I got in the process. So it's a mixture of the bubbles and showing the glass. And the ones that I really liked. So my favorite shot of day one is this one. This is the one that I like the best. And it's the very close in. It's a macro shot of bubbles on the glass. Got in very close, and I just love the texture, the shapes. I like it a lot. So there's some nice ones, but I think one of the things I learned was that it is interesting that because I was challenging myself, it got me to explore further. And this image is not the one that I saw at the beginning. As I say, I noticed the bubbles in the glass, I noticed the light, and it was all nice, and that was great. But it forced me to explore it further. So this is my photo of day one. Day two. Now, day two of the challenge, I'm not somebody who's particularly into macro photography and with a great emphasis. I certainly enjoy doing macro shots, absolutely, but I'm not somebody who's constantly looking for macro shots. But there I am on day two, and I'm going, oh, wow. I'm noticing light and texture. So this is this is the day two photo right here. And this is where the day two photo came from. I'm sitting, it was a particular day where I wasn't getting out much, but I'm noticing this. I'm having on this well-worn saucer, having my coffee, home brew, spilt a bit of coffee into the saucer, noticed the bubbles, the light coming across from the side, and that's where this shot came from. Sitting at the desk, noticing that. This is another version of it. like that one as well. But in the end, I've gone with this one, and this is the one I like the most. We've got from a composition point of view, got the triangle thing almost going on there, leading line going through there. And you really wouldn't know it's a saucer. And I love the colour, the gold, the blue. So that's day 2. And it's interesting because there are no restrictions on this. So, like I say, I'm not necessarily particularly someone constantly looking for macro photos, but I got into it. I was obviously triggered by day 1, and it's fun. And that's part of the challenge. You can explore any different types of photography that you want. You can stay with a theme if you want to, or you can move around every day and do completely different photos. But here we are on day 2. I'm doing the macro shot and I'm having fun with it. I'm noticing more and I'm having fun with my photography and it's brightening my day. I had fun with it. So, day 3 of the photography challenge, of the 7-day photography challenge. And we're moving away from a macro shot today just for a refreshing change. And I guess we're moving into an element of silhouettes. The situation was going out for dinner, taking a bottle of wine, and the sunlight was pouring in against a window, and the window had been treated with like a sun protection to reduce the sun coming in. It was scratched, so it was bringing a lot of texture to it as well. So I put the bottle of wine up against the window on a ledge. You've got curtains either side. So that's what I was working with on day 3. So here's the results of day 3. This is the photograph that I've chosen for day 3. And it's a bottle of wine, obviously, with the sun in the background. We've got the scratching because it's an old, whenever that thing, the treatment was put on the window, it was obviously some time ago and it's been heavily scratched. I've put the bottle up against on the sill and the curtains catch it. And so this is the photograph for day 3. Here's another version of day 3 where the whole thing is exaggerated, and I guess this is more where the true silhouette is occurring as well. And the scratching on the windows and that with the treatment to reduce the sunlight coming in you can see the scratching there. It's almost like a spider's web. But it's the first shot that I've chosen myself as the one that this is my favorite one for day 3. So again, because of the challenge, it got me, while I might notice this situation, but because of the 7-day challenge, bang, I'm putting the bottle of wine there, I'm experimenting, getting a few different shots, a few different compositions, and just enjoying it. And it gets you to explore, and certainly in this case, in the way that I've chosen to go about the 7-day challenge, it's getting me to explore my environment in closer detail, if you like. So these are things that you would notice anyhow, but you explore them with more depth because of the challenge. Day 4 of the photography challenge. And to my absolute, I guess, amazement, really, well into the day of day 4, I suddenly realized I'd forgotten all about it. And I went, well, this is crazy. And it also reminded me, often we think we take a lot more photographs than perhaps we do. Well, that's what I find. I sometimes think, gosh, this, that, and the other. But sometimes we can have some gaps between our photo sessions without realizing. And it really caught my attention that indeed on this day I'd forgotten about the photography challenge, but not completely. It was late afternoon, the sun was shining, it was beautiful, and I was waiting for a lift. So I'm waiting out on the street, sun coming through the trees. Now, I was determined not to miss day 4. And if I had, it meant I would have had to go back to day 1. And I was determined to see. I thought, gosh, I'm the instigator of this. If I can't do it, this is not a very good example. So I was determined to get a shot. So I'm not afraid of a cliche. So here we are of day 4, bit of a cliche, determined to get a shot. I'm happy with it. This is the shot of day 4. Bit of lens flare streaming through. I got a few different angles, a few different shots, but the ones with the lens flare were my favorite. Adds another dimension. I like it. Few nice shapes going on, and it's all very much about the light streaming through the leaves. But as I say, I was quite surprised. But it was interesting because there I stood there getting this lift late in the afternoon, and really I thought, well, I'm not going to have any other opportunities to get the camera out and get some shots. I was going out that evening and it wouldn't necessarily have been appropriate. So as I waited for my lift, I thought, well, what is there? And literally looked up and saw this. And when we're forced to notice things, like in this particular case, I'm on the challenge, I want to get the shot. So I start to look around, and it forces you to notice more and more and more. And of course, photography does this in general. But when we do something like this 7-day challenge, it really does discipline us, if you like, to through the fun of the challenge, through the challenge of the challenge, it's forcing us to notice more. And I know I'm repeating myself with this, but boy, is this true. And day 4 was a real proof to me about that there I was with no real idea of what photograph I was going to get. I was really running low on the opportunity, but bang, this is what we find. I like the shot. Yeah, it's a cliche. I'm not afraid of cliches. I love cliches. Photography, there's some great. One reason why cliches are cliches because they're great. They're brilliant. They've been tested over time, if you like. So I'm not afraid of a cliche. I know some people, I'm sure some people will comment, but that's okay. I like it. All right. Now we're going to move on to day number 5. Day 5 of the photography challenge. And I always enjoy working with shapes, whether they're generated by shadows or different objects, pieces of furniture, concrete, steps, that sort of thing. So that on day 5, that's what I ended up shooting. It's passing these tables and chairs. I'll put up the shot now. This is the photo from day 5. So this is the photo of day 5. I love it with the shapes, the shadow, the leading lines, etc. The triangles, love that. The table, the triangle there at the bottom, leading in at the beginning and in the middle of the bottom of the shot. Chairs leading, it all sort of flows in there. Now here's a couple of other versions of the same scene. It sort of has a bit more intrigue at the top, like what's going on above the steps, that sort of thing. So it's no longer quite so much just about the graphics. It's more about, well, what's going on above the stair line. Another version, but nowhere near as powerful in my mind. The graphics at the bottom, the dramatic lines at the bottom are just not there. To me, it's lost a lot more. Coming back to the original shot, that's the one I like. But all about the lines. And I think it's interesting. One of the things about this, to see, everyone has a different way of seeing the world. And one of the things by looking at work of other photographers, especially on something where like a 7-day challenge, where the idea is regardless of what's going on, you're coming up with photographs. And I think it's interesting to see what other people, what other photographers come up with. It can be intriguing. And hopefully you're finding that this also encourages you to take up the challenge yourself, as well as see that through another photographer's eyes, just that perhaps an element of whether it be inspiration or encouragement to follow through and start to take more photos in your day-to-day life. Start to notice more and more. So that's day 5, and it was all very much about shapes and light. Day number 6, and But so much of photography is about light. And I remember once hearing a definition of photography as being essentially painting with light. And while there's various different types of photography, from news photography to all different types of photography, but so often the quality of the photograph can be heavily influenced by the type of light, by the quality of the light. And the photograph for day 6 was early morning, getting fuel at a petrol station and light streaming in. So, look, I'm going to put up the shot. This is the shot of day number 6. And as you can see, it's quite powerful light streaming on the morning into the driveway there of the petrol station. The lovely green neon, the juxtaposition, and some nice strong shapes. And here's a couple of other alternate shots that I got at the same time. But I prefer the other effect on the right-hand side with more of the bushes. To me, that works really well. And that's the other version as well. But I come back to this one. This is the one that I like the most. So again, it's all so much about the light. That's the light that makes this shot on day number 6. You can almost feel it. It's like it's sort of coming at you. The light's sort of rushing at you. It's fantastic. I like it. So again, it's just this everyday situation. There I am getting fuel for the vehicle. Bang, there we are. You look up and there's this dramatic shapes, colors. It really can enhance your day by it it's this expression, if you like, it forces you to notice. There's something about when you get into photography, you just can't help but notice more and more and more. Sometimes it's more obvious than others, but I love it. It gives my day a lift. Photography is fantastic. So that's day number 6. So day 7, and I'm including a more classic coffee cup shot. I know I included a previous macro shot involving the saucer of a coffee cup, but this is more, I love photographing some coffee cups. Over time, you're sitting in different lights, etc., etc. So this is the day 7 photograph, and it is cropped, and indeed I could crop it even more for it to be more powerful, and could lift, I would even crop further at the bottom and go in closer to the saucer. In fact, I might do that now so you can see the difference. But it's your classic light. And one of the things here is that it was very overcast light and the coffee cup did not look so interesting. But suddenly the light came out, got the shot. But the point being is that then the light disappeared again. So often we think, oh, just I'll do this or I'll get the shot later. No, grab the shot when you see the shot. The light can change very deceptively quickly. Like we look up, we think we know what the cloud movement is, but often it can be quite surprising and you lose the shot. So just a little footnote there. But this is the shot for day 7. And in fact, I'll do another version where I crop in more closely. So now this is the shot more closely cropped. So it's quite heavily cropped, but I love the shapes in this, the smoothness. And again, it's all very much about the light. So just as a bonus shot, here's another shot that wasn't shot during the 7-day challenge. It's just a bonus shot. I hope you found seeing what I've come up with 7-day challenge interesting to see what another photographer's set of eyes can see. And I would actually like to, I might well do the challenge again. It was, as I say, there wasn't a lot of space for photography in that week, but I'd actually like to do it where there is a lot more time for photography and do more shots in any given day. But I hope you have found this interesting. Do press the subscribe and so you can get more of my videos. And take up the challenge yourself. If you haven't taken it up, take it up. It's a really fascinating thing to do. It seems so deceptively simple, but actually doing the 7 day challenge where for 7 days you take photos, and if you miss a day, you go back to day one. It lifts your vision, and you can have fun with it in any given day, whether it's a day where you can photograph on your photography or whether you've got a really busy day and you're just grabbing a couple of shots along the way. It can give your day a lift. So I strongly encourage you to take up what may seem a very simple challenge, but I say it's a very powerful and fun challenge. Have fun with your photography, and I'll catch you in another video.